Numa mortuo tullus hostilius rex creatus est. Okay, this is an ablative absolute. Notice, you should probably remember, ablative absolutes can either have a noun and a participle in the ablative, or sometimes a noun and an adjective in the ablative. When Numa was dead. That escalated kind of quickly. I don't know, he randomly died. Then we have a new subject, Tullus Hostilius, and he became or was made creatus est rex, next king up. Okay, what do we know about this guy? Hic ferocior etiam quam Romulus fuit. Well, that's going to be exciting. We've got a subject here, hic ferocior, ding, ding, ding. That is a comparative adjective. We're going to be comparing two things. And it often uses a quam. This guy was even more fierce, ferocior, quam, and then here is the thing to which you're being compared. Notice, hic is nominative, so when you use quam, the thing that's being compared, Romulus, is also going to be the same case. So let's see what he does. This guy who's fiercer than Romulus. Bellum, now that's not a surprise, is it? We're talking about Roman history here. Bellum cum Albanis primum ortum est. Okay, prepositional phrase, cum Albanis. And then ortum est, that funky verb came up, arose, that sort of thing. Albani et Romani certamen de imperio prelio paucorum virorum de cernere cupiverent. Okay, subject, the Albans and the Romans, which makes sense because we just saw in the last sentence they're having a war. Certamen, this is one of those nifty neuter nouns, but since we already have a subject, I'm assuming that certamen here is your direct object. So that these guys did something to the certamen, but we haven't gotten to what they did yet. Okay, this is interesting. De imperio. So, knowing parts of speech, I know that de is a preposition that takes an ablative noun. Now, is the phrase de imperio prelio or just de imperio? Imperio is a noun, prelio is a noun. They're both ablative. Well, since there's nothing connecting the two of them, we're going to assume that our prepositional phrase ends at the first ablative noun, and the second ablative noun, prelio, is just doing something else in the sentence, probably showing means or cause, by means of, with, that sort of thing. Paucum virorum, noun adjective pair, that goes together to modify the prelio. So actually, this is one big chunk here. Paucum goes with virorum, and virorum in turn modifies prelio. And then we have our verb, de cernere cupiverent. So we have our subject, the Albans and the Romans. We have our verb. We have our direct object, prepositional phrase, and then this is an ablative phrase, probably showing how, what, by means of. But that one's not too hard. You can figure that one out. Forte in utro exercitu erant trigimini fratres, nec aetate, nec viribus dispares, horatii et curiatii. Okay, do not mix up forte here with the word fortis. This is by chance. It is an adverb. It has nothing to do with the word brave or strong. Okay, prepositional phrase. In utroque exercitu. Okay, we're still waiting to see what's going on by chance in each army. Verb. Oh, trigimini fratres. How cool is that? There's your subject. And then we have a phrase describing the subject. Let's see. Nec aetate. Look, we have a neither nor. Neither because of this thing, nor because of this thing. And then dispares is an adjective talking about our brothers. And horatii et curiatii tells us the names of the two groups of brothers. He, Albani erant, illi Romani. Oh, what a nice use of the he illi thing. Maybe you remember, he always refers to the most recent guy in a list. So he, Albani, refers to the curiatii. Illi refers to the horatii. So again, he goes to the guy closest to you in the list that you just mentioned, and illy goes back to the further away guy in the sentence. Trigemini ad hunc puncnam delecti arma capiunt et in medium inter duas acies procedent. Well, this is getting exciting. Trigemini, subject. Ad hunc pugnam, direct object. Delecti, participle, talking about those guys. Arma, direct object. Oh, and then here's your verb. Trigemini arma capiunt. With this whole participial clause modifying the trigemini. And what else did these sets of triplets do? Et, in medium, direct object, or prepositional phrase 1, inter duas acies, prepositional phrase 2, and then there's your verb, procedent. Duo exercitus erecti anxiique in spectaculum animos intendent. Okay, subject, duo exercitus, the two armies. Oh, and then we have, actually, we're not going to put that there. We're going to take erecti anxiique, because those are adjectives modifying the two armies. So that all goes together. Prepositional phrase, in spectaculum, animos, direct object, and then intendant is your verb. Subject, verb, direct object, prepositional phrase. Signo dato, terni juvenes concurrent. Okay, ablative absolute. And how do we translate it? With noun participle. Terni is an adjective that modifies our juvenes, and then here is our verb. Now we get into the gory details of the battle. Primo congressu, duo Romani intervecti sunt, et tres Albani vulnerati. Okay, ablative of time when here. And then we've got a subject and the passive verb interfecti sunt. Uh-oh, not looking good for the Romans. And then we have another subject, tres Albani, and vulnerati has an understood sunt after it. So, and this is what happened with the Albans. Eum, qui interfuit, tres curiatii circumsistere conati sunt. Okay, eum talks about one guy, and it's probably the Roman, since the other two are dead, and it's direct object. That was a lot of information in one word. Qui starts a relative clause, and it starts at qui and ends at fuit, who was integer. Then we have our subject, tres curiatii. So we have our subject here, tres curiatii. We have our direct object. Well, we're in the middle of a battle, and it's a bunch of enemies. So we've got a Roman and 3 curiatii. I wonder what the verb would be. Circumsistere conati sunt. And there it is. Notice conati sunt is deponent, and it takes an infinitive. So conati sunt, they tried to do this to him. Cum iam Romanus Paulum fugicit, respexit, atque vidit tres curiatos magnis intervallis sequentes. Okay, cum, that can be when, since, because, with, and once in a great while it can be although. How can we decide? Well, there's no ablative after it, so we're going to knock out with. And I don't see any sort of other word saying however anywhere in the sentence. So we're going to knock out although. So we can take cum as introducing a cum clause. That probably means when, since, or because, which all kind of sound the same after a while. So it's going to start here. It's going to end after fugicit. And Romanus, of course, is the subject. Paulum is an accusative of a degree of difference, so it just means a little bit. Continuing on, we see that respexit is a verb. The Roman is probably the subject. So this Roman that just we talked about in the cum clause, he did this thing, respexit, and he did this thing with it. Then we have a direct object, tres curiatos, noun adjective pair. ablative phrase here, and then sequentes, of course, is a present active participle modifying the three Curiatii brothers. Subito constitit et in proxum Curiatium impetum facit. Oh, this is getting exciting. Suddenly constitit. Again, this is singular, so we're probably talking about the one Roman guy. So there's one verb that he did, constitit, et, and, well, we're going to be connecting something, probably another verb. But before we get there, we have a prepositional phrase. In proximum Curiatium, notice, again, we have accusative, adjective, accusative, noun, and then we have another accusative. And I know right away that this is not part of the prepositional phrase because impetum is not connected to the other accusatives. So this must be doing something else in the sentence. Since it's accusative, it's probably direct object, and then we have facit. So number one, number two. So this Roman guy, he constitit and made this direct object on whom? On that guy. Dum exercitus curiatios obsecrant ut fratri auxilium ferant Horatius eum interfecit. Oh, we've got dum. That dum can often be used to introduce a temporal clause when it's used with an indicative because it just means while this thing's going on. So let's hold that thought and find out. But I'm going to mark it right now because I know it's introducing some sort of clause. Okay, exercitus, nominative, curiatios, accusative. Oh, and there's your verb. So while the army was doing this to the Horatios, and technically the dum clause does end at obsecrant, but leaning on that, connected to it, is this ut clause, because obsecrant usually introduces some sort of command, because that means to urge or command. So what were they urging or commanding? They were urging that, what was it? The army urging or commanding. So inside their dum clause, we have a nested ut clause. Ut fratri auxilium ferant. Okay, so that's where this ends. We can see it ends at the subjunctive verb. We'll put the ending marker here to show that's the end of the entire dum clause. Fratri, dative. Auxilium, direct object. Ferant, plural subject referring to the Curiatii. So while the army was urging the Curiatii to do this, then we finally get to the main clause. Horatius eum interfecit. Yay for Horatius. We've just got a boring subject, direct object, verb. Well, actually, it's not boring considering the subject matter. Tum magno clamore Romani adjuvant militem suum et ille conficere praelium properat. Okay, magno clamore. That is not a prepositional phrase, just a boring ablative phrase. Romani, well, that could be genitive, singular, or nominative plural, but we're not talking about any one random Roman here, and it's probably nominative plural. Oh, and then we've got a plural verb, so that helps us to solidify that idea. So we've got a subject and a verb, and then here, direct object. Sum, of course, modifies militum. And now the author is telling us new subject, nominative noun, ille properat, and properat is a verb that takes an infinitive, so we'll underline your verb. Conficere properat, then praelium is just the direct object. Prius quam consecutus est tertius Horatius alterum curiatium conficit. Oh, this is getting even more exciting. Before this other thing happened, consecutus est, there is your nice deponent verb, consecutus est. Tertius is your subject. New clause, Horatius. Alterum curiatium, direct object here. And then conficit. Iamque singuli supererant, sed nec spe nec viribus pares. Okay, we're just going to break this one up now. Singuli is talking about, it's the subject, and it's talking about the two guys left, one from each side. They were left. Individuals remained. And now this phrase here talks about the individuals. Pares is nominative plural, just like singuli. So Singuli is the antecedent of pares, and we have a neither nor phrase. But they were not pares, they weren't similar in either this way number 1, ablative, or way number 2, this ablative. And now he goes on to talk about one of them. Alter, one of the two guys, integer et verax, superioribus victoris erat. So we've got two adjectives connected by an et to describe alter. And then we have superioribus victoris, which of course are both ablative, adjective, noun, in the ablative, and then erat. So one was integer et verax. Why? Because of superioribus victoris. And this, of course, is referring to the Roman guy, because he's the one who enjoyed the previous victories. And we continue on. Alter, the other of the two guys we talked about on the last page, de fessus vulnere animo fractus incer tamen venet. So the other guy, nominative, and then we have an adjective here with an ablative, tired out by what? And fractus also describes alter, so we'll draw arrows because those are fun. That and that. Fractus in regard to this animo. Prepositional phrase, and then of course the verb venet. Nec illid praelium fuit. Oh, it wasn't even a contest? Curiatium vex sustentem arma Horatius caedit et iacentum spoiliat. Okay, we've got the direct object, curiatum. Sustentem, that is an NT participle, present active participle, talking about curiatum. Arma, of course, is the direct object of sustentem. Subject is Horatius caedit. Oh, I love that verb. It's almost as good as interfagit. And so it's Horatius caedit the curiatum, with this whole thing describing him. And what else did Horatius do? Because we got this end. And did this to the guy iacentum, which also refers to curiatum. So we'll circle these prepositions, or not prepositions, participle 1 and participle 2, modifying the poor guy on the other side of the battle.